Hey, what's going on, guys? I'm going to talk to you today about endorsing the film Siege of Jadotville. Now, the film Siege of Jadotville is on Netflix, and if you have a Netflix account, I recommend that you guys check it out, and it is almost very historically accurate. The only thing I would say is, now, they did talk about how Patrice Lumumba did have a lot of popularity until he nationalized the mines. And his popularity declined, but he was still a democratically elected leader. The only thing I will say is, and the movie kind of touches on this, the UN had opposed Lumumba for a long time and then when he got assassinated, they backtracked and backed him over the Katanga Rebels. And instead of sending a superpower like the United States in there, they opted to send smaller countries, countries that didn't have superpower status, like India and Ireland being the main force. And they were not well equipped by the UN. A lot of the helmets that the Irish soldiers had the blue helmets that had UN on there were plastic helmets, and the film touches on that. The film also touches on how a lot of the weapons and a lot of the equipment the Irish soldiers had were very, very outdated, and that's true. But nevertheless, the Irish soldiers did hold that compound without one casualty. There were I think, about 3 people being wounded. The movie touches on this, how none of the Irish soldiers died. Now, the Belgian and French mercenaries for the Katanga Rebels, a lot of them died, and a lot of the Katanga Rebels died. But the Irish soldiers were just following orders by the UN. And the post was eventually overran, but that's because the Irish commander decided to surrender his soldiers because he knew they were vastly, vastly outnumbered and were going to eventually get overrun and all die. They were held captive for about a month, and the UN and the Irish government had chose to put a lot of the blame on the soldiers instead of accepting responsibility themselves, particularly the Irish delegates to the UN. The soldiers at Jadotville were the laughingstock of Ireland for the longest time and the world, and they were known as the Jadotville Jacks, and that's a derogatory term. But the soldiers were very brave, very competent, and they held out. And they were very professional, and the movie touches on that. And finally, years later, they got an apology, and they got the recognition and the support they deserved. Years and years later, about like over 40 years later, though. So, I highly recommend the film. God bless the Irish soldiers. I believe the UN was wrong and should have backed the Katanga Rebels, but that was the fault of the UN. That was not the fault of the Irish soldiers. But it didn't make Lumumba made it look like Lumumba was a guy with great intentions. No, he wanted to suppress the Katanga Rebellion using a lot of atrocities. I firmly believe, and the movie didn't really touch on that, but other than that, the movie was very, very historically accurate. Anyways, hope everybody's doing well. Take care, God bless, and bye-bye. Bye-bye.